You're listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast, the show that helps you build wealth faster, think outside the box, and break out of the herd. Here's your host, Jim Oliver.
Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me today, Tim Rexius. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, thank you for having me. Super excited to be here.
So, Tim, you and I have something in common. You slept in your car. I slept in a field when I was a kid, homeless in Los Angeles. And also, you live in Omaha. I lived about an hour and a half north of you in Dakota Dunes, South Dakota for 10 years. And I love the Midwest. I went from LA to Missouri. So like you're right in between Kansas City and Dakota Dunes, not right in the middle, but pretty much kind of in the middle. And I've still got businesses out there. So we got a lot in common to talk about. Really love what you're doing, and business owner, but also fitness enthusiast. So before we get started, introduce everybody to yourself, and we'll get rolling.
My name's Tim Rexius, living here in Omaha, Nebraska. As I explained to all my international counterparts, that's pretty much the middle of America. We're just dead center. Father to 6 kids, grandpa to 1 grandson, which I'm not sure which one of the categories caused the gray hair. It's my kid. It's definitely my kids. Being a grandpa is awesome. We own 5 companies total. We're doing business right now in 14 countries, and scaling like crazy. So it's been fun.
Have you seen that new Benjamin Hardy book, The Science of Scaling, just since you said scaling?
Yeah,
it just came out. Like I'm about halfway through it. So I love that. Well, first of all, Tim, 6 kids, like Nick Costco, with my business partner in a trash business and works at Create Tailwind with me. And we do a lot of work together. He has 4, and I go stay with him when I go to Louisville. And man, balancing 4 kids is amazing. A friend of ours has 10. Okay. He adopted a bunch of kids. And 6, how do you do that? First of all,
that's probably the question I get asked the most between the businesses and the kids. I have 7 calendars, quite literally. And I have this app that combines all the calendars into one. And we have one for the kids where all the kids get to see everything. One for the nutrition retail business, one for the brand, one for the popcorn company, one for the gyms, one for my wife and I, and then one for my public speaking engagements. And we make it so that everyone in the group and every one of the companies literally gets to see what is called the insanity of my schedule, so they know. And what I find is, 1, the respect I get from everyone in the group as different businesses, but 2, when they bring me stuff, they know they better bring me A game, don't waste my time, get to it. It's kind of awesome. But honestly, especially the parent side, is the kids get to see what I'm doing, and they're involved in every step of it, and then they're part of it. It's not dad's missing this, it's dad's out crushing that. And so when I do try to make everything possible, they know that I'm doing it because it's them, it's important. And, so it's a lot of the discipline to calendar it all. And now it's like the first thing and the last thing I do every day is like check my calendar. What kind of insanity is tomorrow going to bring? And,
yeah, that's funny. I do the same thing, but I look on there and go, wow, I could play golf tomorrow. So
I'm jealous.
Jealous. And Tim, it's interesting because I have, depending on how you count it, I say 4 kids. And the reason that I say that is my oldest, she had ovarian cancer, and we took over when I was married. I've been divorced 3 years, but we took over her baby at 11 months old, Riley, and we raised her until about 3 weeks ago. And she just came to me and she said, Papa, I've always wanted to live with one of my parents just because it's so hard to explain why I just live with you. And I said, I totally get that. She said, my dad said that, for the last 2 years of my high school, I could come live with him. Would that be okay? And I said, I want you to be happy, and I want you to be able to say that. And I want you to feel as normal as possible. So she just moved from Naples, Florida to Kingsley, Iowa. And so her life is, but I'm happy for her. So my point, Tim, is, and she took my German Shepherd.
Oh,
yeah. So I went from get up in the morning, got my routine with the dog, Rye. I mean, Rye was, by the way, she was seeing the trainer at 5 a.m. when she was going to school at 7.
That's
so
awesome.
She's going and working out from 5 to 6 every morning, or not every morning, 3 days a week. And so my life has changed. So I understand the balance, but I also, like, when I say my calendar is empty, like, oh, can you play golf? Yeah, I don't have to worry about letting the dog out, taking the dog for a walk, doing this. I mean, I got no responsibilities. It's hard to adjust to. But how do you do that? Like, talk about like the working out stuff and the mental health and how that helps with the balance of balancing not only scaling and building your brands and your company, but like just serving your children, your family, your customers, all of that.
Well, it was like we chatted before we started the podcast, when I was competing in bodybuilding for over a decade, I had a purpose, that was it. I had to do the shows, had to do the dance. And when I got out of that, I retired. My last show was 8 years ago. It was hard because you had a driver. And then I started realizing that being in the nutraceutical field, the health field, one, I need to look the part. So there's a purpose. I got to look the part, I mean, you call it vanity, whatever, but look good, feel good is an expression for a reason. Yeah. Two, I love my family enough to know how much of an a-hole I can be if I'm stressed out of the max, and it's not their fault. So if I can, push that exhaustion or that frustration out on the weights, I'm just happier in general to be around. And that's for my staff and my kids and my wife. And so they all, when I say I'm going to work out, they're like, good, because I'm easier to work for. I'm easier to be around. I'm more, and I also believe energy breeds energy. You're going to do this much craziness when it comes to business. You've got to be in shape. You got to be able to handle it, the stress, everything else. I mean, I get way in depth of like health markers, HRV levels, step counts. What's my SOPO2 levels? This is a ring that tracks everything all day, every day, cardiac events, you name it, sleep patterns. And, as you get older and all of a sudden you realize you're not indestructible like I thought I was the previous 40 some years, I'm like, oh man, I better pay attention to this stuff. And it kind of gets to be like a fun little science experiment on yourself, like what works, what doesn't work. And I go down the rabbit hole on health and nutrition because it's my field as well. But so I'll read the random research studies on fasting, and I'll call the docs up at Boston Med that ran it. Then I'll test it on myself. And it's just kind of fun because when people ask, I'm like, oh, I tried that. How was it? Oh, it's miserable. Hey, I was miserable, but man, I saw my abs. And so that's kind of like, oh, where's the misery at? And and then my businesses, honestly, because I'm at this age older than my partners and my employees, where I'm like, guys, we really need to add in this massive sauna because I've read the cardiovascular benefits and the preventative stroke measurements to using the sauna more than 20 minutes 3 times a week. And so now $20-some thousand later, I have the biggest sauna they've ever built in the Midwest. And it's hot, but just because of that, it's not just because it's convenience and it's spa-like, but my gyms now, we have saunas because there's legitimate health benefits. And it's the same thing with certain kinds of tanning, vitamin D deficiencies and depression and what that does, especially in the Midwest. I mean, it gets cold here.
It does.
For you folks listening from the coast, I don't know if you understand what cold is.
They don't.
I mean, we had below -50 with the wind chill 10 times last year, where everything is locked down. You can't go outside more than 4 minutes. You might freeze to death. So quite literally, I mean, cold. And so in the sauna in the winter, and then the sun, like a little bit of tanning. I mean, winter blues is a real thing, and vitamin D being the most abundant mineral in the body and the number one thing Americans are deficient in, and the number one leading cause of depression. Just all those things kind of play into it as I've gotten older, and it's made me better, actually. Especially being in the health and wellness field, it's made me pay more attention to things that I think other friends of mine in the network that are in the business side of thing, they let their health go to sacrifice it for business. And when health is my business, it makes an extra priority. Now, also, my business partner on the gyms I own is one of the top premier amateur bodybuilders in America. More likely will be an IFBB pro here after the next month. Well, having an office down the hall from somebody who has like 4% body fat, that'll just, and then he's like my brother, so we'll talk smack. And then so that also keeps me held accountable as well. And the fact that my wife is significantly better looking than me, so I really have to stay in shape. But yeah.
No, you said so much. By the way, I have a sauna. I mean, I'm in Florida, right? So people are like, why do you need a sauna? I have a sauna in my garage. Like I said, my granddaughter just moved. I'm like, hey, this room is now my restoration room. So I got a bigger sauna because mine, of course, was 1 year before they came out with the red light. I have the near far red light. infrared, but I didn't have the red light panels built into the sauna. So in my granddaughter's, used to be your bedroom, is now going to be the restoration room. And I'm putting in the bigger sauna with the red light. And I'm ordering, and I haven't figured out which one is. I'm going to order a massage chair, because stress, all illness and disease comes from stress, right? So you have to do whatever you need to do. But again, I'm the same way, 60 years old, and I have my friends, they say, you don't need to hit the golf ball 300 yards. Well, but I can't. And you don't need, I don't need to have abs like you, because I'm not out there dating. Well, your wife would probably really dig it if you did,
Exactly.
And like you said, it's like, oh, I don't want to eat like that. How do you know what you're eating? I eat the same, and this is just me, Tim, I'm weird, but I eat the same exact thing every single day during the day. And then at night, I change up my dinner. It's only because it's just easy for me. I eat cottage cheese at 11 o'clock. I eat chicken at 12:30. I just kind of eat all day long the same thing. I have a protein shake at 2:30. And that works for me, right? It's whatever works for you. But you said something too. So I'm all in on the sauna, and now I'm jealous because sounds like your sauna is going to be better. But the new one that it's going to ship, it comes out of Kansas City. But so when you also said something that you're hanging out with people that are at your level or above your level in whatever area. So maybe talk about tie that into like legacy over the luxury of to me, like grinding is fun, right? Like I love getting, I woke up at 4:17. My alarm didn't go off at 4:30 this morning. And I was like, cool, I got a head start. Yeah. Like I don't go, well, how much sleep did I get? And I want to talk about energy. So don't let me forget about talking about energy attracts more energy. So, cause you said something earlier, but let's just hit those two things right there is the grind part, and then hanging out with other people that are at your level or above your level, and how you find that mentorship or how you mentor people too.
I think that one, like surrounding yourself with people like they're in your room or the room above you, as they call it. It's huge for me because, I had great mentors when I first got in the industries 20 some years ago, but it's like, okay, at this stage where I'm still scaling businesses, I'm not anywhere near where I want to be. I need advice, and it's hard to come by. And what you find out is that, I built a resume enough that it speaks for itself, that when I meet people and it's how I act. I guess, I always say like this, I am me. I'm authentically, unapologetically me. And, I'm courteous and I'm nice. And so like I meet my wife is the CFO for a $50 million packaging company. So I get to meet her CEO, and she told me when she started this job, she goes, this is you in like 40 years. I'm like, sick. So I meet him, and, the guy is literally 40 years older than me. The guy's in his 80s. Still operating, and we hang out, and his wife gets mad because all of a sudden he starts acting, he's acting like he's your age. And I'm like, that's awesome. And all of a sudden I just have this camaraderie with him. I can run ideas off somebody who's already done it, and that's huge because I can get an honest, authentic opinion from him about what I should or shouldn't do.
So I love that. I love that, finding mentors and coach, right? So like I said, I use a trainer. Talk about how you've been able to, and I know you don't do it a lot, but just the value of having that coach or that operations partner as you're scaling your businesses. You couldn't run all four of those businesses by yourself and scale them and everything else. So talk about just mentoring and partnership maybe a little bit.
Well, all of my business partners are former employees. And so I look at employment people differently than most CEOs, I would say, do. I look at employment as a long-term business partner interview, potential business partner interview. I get to see what your work ethic is like when you're making XYZ. If I put profit sharing or certain incentives. How do you operate like that? And I get to see all these things. And I've looked at the fact that if you have somebody of extreme talent that meets ideally with you, like you guys hang out in the same circle, you're in the same, they want to be in the same room. You see in them what you had 10, 15, 20 years ago. And now you get to be the leg up for that person. That's your duty to do so. And from a business standpoint, it's just intelligent. Why would you want to compete against somebody you're mentoring that you're pouring this into, that you see talent in? No, you lock them down and you make them a partner, whether it's a new venture, a current venture, whatever it might be. And so my business partner in the gyms, it was a former employee who showed phenomenal talent and an amazing work ethic. And so we got the chance to start our gyms. And I posed the question to him. He brought it to me like 600 times. And I'm like, well, you can't work for me and be a business partner. He goes, cool, fire me. Okay.
Right.
And so much so that I'm like, well, I'm not going to cash flow this whole thing. Like I'll take the brunt of it and I'll get the secured loan, but you got to come up with your down payment. So much though, he had like one baby, one small child and his wife. She was pregnant. They sold their house and moved in with his parents for 2 years.
Wow.
To afford it. I'm like, and now he runs several different businesses on top of the one that we co-own together, and it's just successful. And I've noticed that I had 13 retail locations myself. I sold them all to my staff and I made them all franchisees.
Yeah.
Why? Because without them, I'm going to start back over again. And then people are the most valuable asset that I have. And so if I can find a way of transitioning them from employment into that, and so that kind of breeds into me, I'm mentoring them. And it does as much for me as it does for them if they're motivated, because you remember what it's like when you first started, just trying to get that first opportunity, the new fresh ideas. I'm excited. You try to help them avoid some of those pitfalls, but also you get a lot of fresh ideas and energy yourself. You kind of breeds, because you're around it. And then, I get to the guys that are above me because I'm like, okay, I'm dealing with more complicated level problems that I need somebody who's done this, who has, actually seen, okay, how do I play bank account Jenga between 5 companies when there's a shortfall or credit got locked up or whatever it might be, whatever crazy thing, or, hey, I've got this opportunity to invest in this portion of it. Where do you think my time should be allocated? And these guys, obviously, I'm younger to them. And so I'm reinvigorating them. And so they like to fire back, and I'll get some real no holds barred information. And sometimes it's not what I want to hear. Sometimes it's like they go, that's a terrible idea. And here's the 10 reasons why. And then I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I can either let that bruise my ego, or I can be like, okay, you're right. I mean, I didn't see it that way. Or maybe I was too overly hopeful that it was overriding the analytical part of my mind that knew it was dumb. Whatever it might be, let my emotions get in the way, and somebody else outside of that allows me to. It was like, when I first started the VHI brand and the Omaha protein popcorn brand, I had never been on the wholesale side. I've never dealt with grocery in that distribution channel. And I had somebody really well known, it's like $50,000 to coach me. I'm like, you're out of your mind. I'm not paying you 50 grand. I probably lost closer to $500,000 over that next 3 years of mistakes. That 50,000 could have only saved me the $500,000 in losses, but I probably could have made another $500,000. So I think hiring a coach who's got the resume is worth their weight in gold. I mean, that's also your commitment to, I am going to hold myself accountable, and this is what I do. Now, I don't coach a lot just because one of our brands has scaled so massively that I only have so much time, and I hate to take on anybody and not give them their due. You know what I mean? But I think it's best both ways, to be coached and coached. I mean, I remember what it was like, 22, couldn't get financing, coming out of business college, no clue how to get alternative financing, had to go work a job. They got paid well, but that I didn't like. Until I finally figured out, there is no easy way. I just have to go figure it out. Oh, cool. Thank you for your degree and $50,000 in college debt. But, and now I can be that. So that's why I do so much speeches at local high schools and colleges, and I do them for free, probably 20 to 30 a year.
That's awesome.
Because I like it when the kids get energized, man. I get 1,200 kids in an auditorium probably in the next week at one of the local high schools. And the teachers all know that, hey, I'll just talk the whole time. And so if they don't have any lesson plans, I'm the guy they call, because I'll just come fill the spot. And all of a sudden there's 6 teachers feeding all their classes in. And the kids, it's nonstop questions for an hour and a half. It's like there's always like 10 hands. And that's cool, because I remember being that kid and having no clue what I wanted to do with my life, and find something I like to do that I could get paid to do at the same time was amazing.
So, something that you said about, just growing the businesses, the coaching, I totally agree. Like when I talk to people about building wealth, what most people want to do is they want to sell you clubs. And so I use this as a golfer analogy. You're a golfer, and this will totally make sense. Let's say tomorrow we were going to go play Augusta together, right? And by the way, I would love to do that. So if you got the connect, I can be ready tomorrow. But I'll be there. Just tell me the time. But anyway, let's say we're going to go play Augusta tomorrow, the best golf course in the world, let's just say. And I gave you the option of one of two things, either Tiger Woods clubs, and let's just assume for a second, those are the best clubs that any money can buy, right? I'm going to give you his clubs or his swing. Which one do you want? The swing, right? So what a coach gives you is not the clubs or the instruments that you have. It gives you the swing. Well, you have to learn the swing. So you learn the swing through, like you say, grit, right? Like effort, failure, lose $500,000. I mean, that's how you learn the swing, right? And then once you have the swing, nobody can take that away from you because they can take your clubs away. Somebody can steal your clubs, right? You can lose your clubs, but you always have that swing. Exactly. And, so to me, I love that when you pay somebody $50,000, like when I think about Dan Sullivan and Strategic Coach, and I'm a huge fan of his program and his books, is whatever you pay for it, it doesn't even matter what it costs today. I have no idea what it costs today, but I started doing that 30 years ago. And I have all of his information. Every time he comes out with a new book, I buy it. Is how much is that worth? Well, it's worth millions and millions and millions of dollars to me over the last 38 years of being in business. And so $50,000, whatever it is, right? If it's good and it's going to make a difference. It's the same thing on somebody saying, well, how much does your trainer cost per hour? Why does it matter? Exactly. And if they're good and they can produce results, right? And you're getting healthier, and you talked about, all the metrics. I mean, I'll tell you the one thing that I think people totally ignore in they're working out and everything else is hormones. Mm-hmm. And ladies, without going into details, if you're over 45 or even 40 and you're not checking those hormones, I am telling you, you're missing out, because any issues that you have, whether it's belly fat, leg fat, any sexual things, hormones will fix that.
Exactly.
And we don't do it enough. It's not your primary care physician. It's not take this antidepressant med. It's your hormones are so important. I've got a badass hormone doctor down here, and I refer every single person I talk to that asks me any questions about fitness or anything to her.
Oh yeah.
And she checks I'm in there like every week doing an IV or stem cell or PRP or something, man. I'm in it for it all.
Oh, that's funny you said that, because I'm same wavelength. So there's not a lot of great hormone therapy docs around here. So I went and got nationally peptide certified. I'm the only one that's in the Midwest that is. And so much that one of our offices in the gyms that we've expanded, our main gym is our concept piece where I'm trying crazy stuff, right? So we're opening a peptide hormone therapy clinic in this gym about 20 feet away from me in about 60 days, partnered with the doc that we met ideally with. I'm like, here's how I look at things. Here's how my business partner looks at things. And most importantly, here's where we like to price things. He's like, why? I go, I don't think being healthy should break the bank. I think we're not wrong making profit, but there's a whole issue where people are like, that's just, I can't do it. And so let's find that nice way. But I always like, get blood work. What are you doing, man? That's the answers to the test. It's like, I gotta get more life insurance because one of my term policies expired, right? That I had since I was 20 something. All of a sudden I'm like in my 40s. I'm like, wow, that went up 1,000%.
Yeah.
And I'll get, I'll lose a little extra weight for money. So, I'll get blood work. Why would I go get blood work for that life insurance exam when I don't know what the answers are? Is there something glaring? I mean, is there an enzyme issue with my livers or something that's going to make that? I'd rather know now. And, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of the cure. So just, take care of yourself. And you're right, especially with the females, and we see it a lot. I mean, the perimenopause kicks in around 40 to 45, and their heads start spinning, and it's not their fault. And the amount of women that have come into the stores and the gym, like, be like, hot flashes and this and that. I'm like, well, I know how to combat all of it because I've been around this for 3 decades, and I know the industry very well. At the same point, let's go get checked. I mean, you're not crazy, okay? It's your hormones. It's no different than men,
She saves marriages every day. Oh, yeah. She saves marriages because of everything you just said. and just connection and intimacy. I mean, I'm telling you, because so one of the things that happens, again, I'm older than you, but like when you get to in Florida, I'm like lower in the age, right? And so if you think you're rich or old, just come to Naples. You're neither. And and so what happens though is you sit there and you go, wait a minute. Your friends that aren't working out and everything, they'll go, oh, man, when you hit 50, the aches and pain. That's just all BS. I feel the same at 60 years old as 35. I go play golf with these guys that are 28, 35, and I can hang with them all day long. I have no aches and pains, but I also if I have an ache and pain from working out, I got my chirp unit. I'll put it on my back. I'll sit there and work and do it for 2 hours, right? And I'll go, I feel better. I do the sauna. I do the hot tub at night. I do all of those things. And the peptides for anti-inflammatory, for my gut, for everything. But I've cycled that stuff. And it's funny, but she has a patient. You'll love this, Tim. The guy's in his 80s and his DexaFit says his biological age is going down. It's in his 40s and it's younger than his son's, his biological age. Now, that's the 80-some-year-old dude that I want to be. Yeah. Not the guy that has a walker and, hey, it's Tuesday night, bingo night. I'm going to go up to the club and eat fried chicken. You know what I mean? Like, everything is hard. Being fat is hard. Sure. You know what I mean? Choose your heart.
Pick your heart. I mean, it's like, what do you get more enjoyment out of? I always explain this to clients. Like, do you get more enjoyment out of walking into that reunion or family Christmas or whatever it might be, whatever one's trigger event is, and looking your best, or does that whole package of Little Debbie's give you more enjoyment? Because for me, walking into a class reunion and looking 20 years in better shape than anybody else that I went to school with, that's worth its weight in gold. You can't put a price tag on that. And so, I want to eat all the same crap everybody else does. Don't get me wrong, I do. I love, but I reward myself with a nice fattening cheat day, once a month. And I do fasting. I mean, that's for me. And because my schedule is so insane, our Omaha protein popcorn company's in 14 countries over the last 24 months. So I've been in Dubai and I got doing all these different languages, different tours, meeting with different governments, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I never know where I'm going to be. Right. So I was so cyclical. This is what I'm going to eat. And it was great. And I loved it. But now that I travel, I can't. And so I got into fasting, just anti-inflammatory response, reduction in cortisol, cardiac, cancer reduction, all these things. And so for me, it's been kind of nice because I literally fast for 22 hours every single day. The only time that gets broken is when I train. If I train earlier in the day, then I'll have my protein shake, which is 3 kinds of protein. And then I wait until I eat between 7 and 9 p.m. at night so I can have a dinner with my family and, do it with the wife, the kids, whatever. And it works out really, really well. And everybody's like, doesn't that suck? I go, yeah, the first 5 days.
Yeah, right.
And the last 2 years after that's perfectly fine because your body is ineptly able to adapt to whatever you put it to. It's just you mentally you go, I don't need it right now. And that's all it is. And so I pay attention to like my HRV levels, heart rate variable, the distance between your heartbeats, because that's really telling you how you age. And when I first got one of these rings, I was like, oh my God, I'm old. Like it rated me way older. And so I started looking into grounding. So I have grounding bed sheets. I have grounding shoes. And my wife was making fun of me, but all of a sudden the HRV started improving, anything that can reduce stress. But honestly, then you see the business side of it because I've taken care of myself physically, and, obviously emotionally, those are tied. And, if you're taking care of yourself spiritually, and all of a sudden financially, I'm through the roof. Everything's turning on all cylinders because I have the energy of a 20-year-old competing at 45, and half my buddies in my age that are in business are tired by 4 o'clock. And I'm like, it's time to keep going. And that's why I can produce and scale so much higher than a lot of guys in my group because I've taken care of myself physically. I can take the demands the same as I could when I was 20.
Man, I can't agree with you more. I want to talk about the HRV because I want to, I do a thing like heart math. I don't know if you're familiar with heart math. I'm sure you are. But, people like say, well, that's just some gimmicky thing. Well, Stanford, again, with my political beliefs, anything that comes out of Stanford, I would kind of doubt like, oh, that's going to be just traditional, like mainstream, this or this or this. Yeah. But when their doctors are saying there's a connection between because there's a connection between your brain, your heart, and your gut, right? And like all of those things, we're not taught that. And one thing that I teach people about building wealth is everything that you've been taught about money is a lie. And I believe that almost everything that we've been taught about nutrition is a lie.
Great.
And working out even is a lie, right? I mean, and when you start to get those results and you start to feel better, and like you said, spiritually, mentally, all this stuff happens, the wealth just like explodes, and you don't even have to think about it, and you don't even have to like stress about it or anything. It just happens. And so let's talk about, I saw this thing that I loved. It said, everything is energy, which I agree, right? And God's a designer, so he designed the universe around energy. But energy attracts like energy in 17 seconds. So I think about with your 6 kids, right? And how that energy would flow. And so if you have a negative, and thoughts are energy. So if you have a negative thought, in 17 seconds, you'll have another negative thought. In 3 thoughts, 68 seconds, you'll have momentum.
Yeah.
So that means if you hit that snooze button in the morning, which I think is the worst invention of all time, is you're screwed, because now you're going to have negative thoughts for that whole 10 minutes. The alarm goes off, you get up, you do whatever you do, whatever your routine is. And what I do is I do box breathing, and I drink 30 ounces of water. It just wakes up my brain, and it wakes, I'm alert, I'm ready to go. And I have the same energy at 4:30 that I have now, or maybe more. And so I love that. But talk about, so you've got all this background, and I want to order some popcorn, man, because I love popcorn. I don't eat it because I can't get good popcorn, and it said protein popcorn. I'm like, well, where the hell do I order that? So I'm going to have, we'll put it in the show notes too, but I want you to tell everybody how to get in contact with you and how you interact with people. But, I think I could just sit here and talk to you about this stuff all day long, because it's so important. Like, I want to help people get this down and understand. And, I have friends that say, well, I can't get below this weight. I can't do, well, you're doing it wrong. So change it. So talk about that. How do you work with people? Talk about the protein popcorn. How did that happen? How did you come up with that?
All right. So, we fast forward, I met my wife. We're divorced, combined family, hers, mine, and ours. So she had 2, I had 3, we had 1 together. Now we're this big, crazy mess. Yeah. But the year I met her, we were in, we had 5 stores. And then within 1 year after that, we were in 5 states. Wow. And so that scale, having somebody else who's, the yin to the yang, that pushes me, that tells me when I'm, to have that confidence. And, we decided to start the gyms in 2017 because I was still competing at the time, and we decided to have our own spot. And then, I had my own nutraceutical brand, and all of a sudden, I got these kids, and they're spread 20 years apart in age. My oldest is 25, my youngest is 6. Nice. So I'm going to be doing this a while. Yeah. And so there's 2 groups that really suffer more than any, as far as demographically speaking, from protein consumption: kids, the youth, and the elderly. Yeah. And so my kids, trying to convince them to eat protein that doesn't come in the form of a chicken nugget, and my parents to convince them to have protein, not just alcohol, because basically once they got in their 70s, it's like their frat party. Yeah. And they're living in Arizona. They're like, it's Arizona time. I'm like, it's still 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, and that's a scotch. So let's figure something out. And nothing wrong with it. But they're not going to eat the protein bars. They're not going to drink the shakes. They're not going to do it. And if they do it, they're only doing it for a short period of time on their way, to get into that dress for that wedding that they bought too small, or that reunion, and they'll go right back to their stuff. And so what looking from a demographic position, and I've sold every protein snack you can ever think of in my retail chain, so I know them all, only 5% of the population really considers themselves to be part of that health nut crowd, where they will literally actually not only eat the bar, but they might actually enjoy it. Right. 99%, 95% everybody else is like, hell no. And so I've got to make a snack that's efficacious, that actually has the correct ingredients that I would actually eat. And here's the thing, guys. The reason why I've gone so big globally is because 99 out of 100 protein snacks in the United States aren't allowed to be exported into other countries. They don't meet health standards. They're such low quality protein that they don't meet health standards for other in other countries. So to give you an idea, when you're done working out, make it real simple. When you're done working out, you got about 45 minutes to get amino nitrates to your muscle tissue to cause repair. That's where all the cracks in your muscles. The average protein snack in the United States takes 3 hours. So it's not going to repair anything because they use cheaper protein because it's a functional food. Well, I use whey hydroxylate. I use the highest grade protein you can possibly get. So my protein in our popcorn digests in 6 minutes. I originally made it for some pro athletes that, and my kids, my pro athletes would cheat on a diet. They'd cheat so bad, they would go, well, screw it. It's Friday. I'll start back over on Monday. And then these guys would proceed to gain 20 pounds in a weekend. And then it's going to take me 3 weeks to get you back on. Then you're going to quit. You're going to hate it. And then all of a sudden, I'm a dictator, whatever you might call it. And I'm like, I'm so sick of that's why I don't diet coach as much anymore. And so I'm like, okay, well, let me give you a snack that's actually going to meet macroefficient nutrients. So 600 batches, and I kid you not, brother, over a year. 600 batches in my kitchen, goofing around with my wife.
Wow.
And 599 really bad ones, including a cracked tooth because she forgot to take the seeds out of one batch. My wife's a phenomenal cook. We invented the caramel corn. Now we'll go on the negativity thing when I deal with social media, but what is it? It's no fat. It's easily digestible sugar to protein, like a 3-to-1 to 4-to-1 ratio, depending on the flavor. And so right now online, Karen's like, yeah, sugar in it. I'm like, who told you sugar was bad? It's when you have it, how much of it you have, and when it is. And so athletes post-workout, what do I want? I want 3 to 4 times easily digestible sugar to a hydroxylate protein with no fat. Causes an insulin mimetic response, causes your muscle tissue to flood with insulin and blood to cause catastrophic amounts of repair extremely, extremely fast. I mean, you and I have been around. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, 1980, 7th Mr. Olympia. Everybody knows Schwarzenegger, tall bodybuilder, 6'3", 235 pounds. To give you an idea, guys, he wouldn't even get a pro card in open bodybuilding at that weight. He'd have to be 330 pounds in today's bodybuilding. And you may say, well, steroids. Well, they haven't invented a new steroid since 1970, so that's not it. And steroids were legal in the United States till 1984. So it's not steroids. What is it? We've learned in nutrition how to mimic insulin. Insulin is 700 times more anabolic than testosterone. So I create snacks and diets to reflect that. So then we decided to launch it underneath the old brand called Optimal Performance Popcorn because I was just thinking the science of it. And then my daughters kept bringing home this Smart Pop white cheddar just to upset me, to be honest with you. I got 3 beautiful blonde haired beauties who like to see how much they can raise my blood pressure. And so I spent 6 months and created our savory line, which is a pre-workout. What do you want pre-workout? No fat, complex, high fat. So organic coconut oil, MCTs, good for medium chain triglycerides, losing belly fat, good for your heart, fast digesting, good satiety, no sugar, but complex carbs and protein. So my cheddar flavors are my pre-workout. My candy coats are my post-workout. But back then I was just trying to see how much protein I could cram in a bag. And so we reorganized it about 2 years ago into the Omaha Protein Popcorn Company, let my daughters and wife design the labels and the mascot because, to be perfectly honest with you, brother, I haven't gone grocery shopping in 10 years. My wife won't let me go because I'll buy everything in bulk on a pallet, and I have a lot of kids. And so I let them design it because they spend 10 times the amount of money I do, and we were up 16,000% in 24 months. And it's been one of those that the bodybuilders respect it because they understand macros. Soccer moms love it because the kids will actually eat it. The elderly and all these grocery stores are flying through it because they said it's the dietitians at like Hy-Vee here in Omaha, the grocery chain, said it's the only one they could get their silver sneakers, the 70 plus crowd, to actually eat and repetitively eat. It's the only one they've ever had in 30 years. And so that's kind of the popcorn thing is. So now I'm developing a sugar-free version using a certain kind of sugar alcohol, and I'll make a vegan version as well, just so I can check off the boxes for all the Karens online who like to come at me. But go back to negativity, you had talked about it, the negative thoughts. I get asked that a lot. They're like, well, your company's so big and you get so many videos and messages. I said, if it's negative, block and delete. I don't even entertain it. I don't give it 2 seconds because I don't want that negative energy to infect me.
Exactly.
And if you're a perfectionist by nature, which most of us in business are, is we will forget about the 1,000 positive reviews and we're going to focus on that one and let it just drive us insane. And so I got really good advice from a rapper, actually, a guy who had overnight success in the rap music, have 5 million followers after having none in a month. And I go, well, how do you do with the negativity? And the guy's very, very intelligent. And he goes, block and delete. I'm not giving you 2 seconds. I'm like, you're not going to get famous off my stuff either. And so that's kind of how the brands kind of hit. Each one kind of came out of you got to think in my house with 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. I have the ultimate market analysis right there. Different generations, different sexes, different sports, different body styles, all these things, different genetics. And so if I can get all 6 of those kids to agree on a flavor, I already know I'm going to make $1 million. If you have anybody who has 6 kids, try to get them all to agree on one thing. If you can get that done, I mean, it's a miracle from God. And so I'm like, and so I don't bring out anything until they all give me the thumbs up. That's the rule. I don't test outside of that group. So it's kind of fun.
No, I love that. I think we could talk all day. But as we kind of wrap this up, tell people the best way to get a hold of you or to consume the stuff that you've got out there, whether it's social media, I guess YouTube is social media, but like, how do they, and by the way, the popcorn, I just ordered 6 bags of popcorn. So like, I'm super ADHD. So right in the middle of the interview, I just went to Omaha popcorn and I just searched Omaha popcorn and it came up, Omaha protein popcorn. If you buy more, then you get discounts. And I added it until it said I got one free. And I'm like, okay, $50 and free shipping. So it's like $50, 6 bags, the same price or less than what I'm going to go buy at Whole Foods or Sprouts or whatever the hell you shop. And I hate going to the grocery store. I had Whole Foods bring some tuna and some other stuff this morning, so, I mean, I do it like 3 days a week.
Well, we've launched in about 20,000 gas stations here in the U.S. this year. The goal is within the next 12 months to be in every single major grocery and gas station chain in the U.S. and match what we're doing here domestically, we're doing internationally. But if you go to timrexius.com, that's just TIMREXIUS.com, that will link you to every one of the companies, all the social media channels. If you message him, my assistant gets it. Just make sure, because she's worth her weight in gold. Because she is the captain of said calendars that I talked about earlier. She has all my passwords. So that's the best way to follow all the brands, all the businesses, and to get in contact. And I always tell people, like, we get a lot of messages, but message in. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's fun. And, if I can help somebody out that is in a position where I used to be, it's my duty and honor to do so.
I feel the same way. Tying right into my first question, Tim, is, throughout all the success and, not being handed your success, earning it, and like figuring out what works, doesn't work, what's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
Old mentor of mine, learn the job. If you love the job, own the job.
Yeah.
If you're wired that way, if you're wired out of entrepreneurship, learn it, love it, own it, make it yours, and whatever way that might be.
I love that. My latest book that's about ready to launch is called Ownership, changing where you take ownership of your life and you run it like a business. You have a ledger, right? I mean, if you start off on Monday, your workout activity has a ledger. There's deposits and there's withdrawals. And the day that you sleep in, that's a withdrawal, right? But if you get enough deposits in there, it changes your life. Okay, last question. If God came down from heaven and only allowed you to retain the knowledge that you've received from one book, what would that book be, Tim?
Well, I'm glad you brought up God. I'm very much Christian. The book of Acts would be my book.
Love it. Yeah.
I mean, what happened when Jesus left, and that's just men trying to figure it out, because that's where we're at. That's where we've been at for the past 2,000 years. And that's the first step that people did. And for me, that's kind of where I feel like I'm at, okay. Like for me, my very firm Christian faith, and they were screwing it up. They're just humans. And okay, so I'm just screwing it up, trying to figure it out too. And that's the first recollection of like, okay, here's what we do. And so for me, if I'm going to lead with anything, it's that.
I love that. I always say progress, not perfection. And that's right in the Bible, right? I mean, we're trying to get closer to God. We're trying every day. I mean, we do a Bible devotional. I've got like 12, 15 guys that we do this thing on you version, and they're all over the country. And then we read the lesson every morning. First thing, it says Jesus prayed when it was dark, with first thing in the morning. And so we do that first thing in the morning, and then we make comments. And over the last, I think it's been 5 or 8 years or something like that, it's like you see this growth of people. And so I love that. But it's, progress. And that just means, hey, you might have lost yesterday. It doesn't mean you might have had pizza yesterday and chicken, or you might have had ribs since it was Labor Day. But that doesn't mean today you have to fail too. Just make some progress today.
Exactly.
So I love what you said. I mean, I'd love to have you back on, and we'll just we could pick 10 topics and go through them. But so thank you, Tim, so much for taking your time and being on the show. I really appreciate it. And the audience, please go check out Tim's stuff. I mean, you know that I pound everybody about take care of yourself and mentally, spiritually, physically. You'll just be a happier person, and you'll be able to serve others and have impact. And it's selfish to not have wealth in abundance, because you can't impact anybody, but you can if you just follow the steps that somebody else has done and just do what they did and get better at it. But so we're going to wrap this up, audience, like we do every episode. And that's with the incredible words of Earl Nightingale. Whatever you think, you will become.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Thanks for listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If you want to start increasing your wealth building ability right now, go to community.createtailwind.com to join our free online community and get access to free, in-depth training designed to help you build real, lasting wealth. See you next week.